If you woke up this morning thinking, I could really use a Mr. Knight figure from the Disney Plus series Moon Knight, and also an artisan edition limited to 2,500 pieces Hot Toys Moon Knight with a new Oscar Isaac head sculpt, well, you'd be in luck because they were just announced, and we're going to talk about it. Let's jump into it. We're going to jump into it and talk about which ones that we're hyped about, what our hype meter is, all that stuff. Let's jump into the first announcement. And the first announcement was this Mr. Knight. If you're only here because you want to check out the Artisan Edition, my thoughts on the Artisan Edition Moon Knight figure, I will link that timestamp in the description below. Hit that thumbs up button and let's get hyped together. So my hype meter right here for this Mr. Knight figure is pretty high. I mean, I really enjoyed the Moon Knight series. I actually think it is probably my favorite Disney Plus Marvel show that they've made so far. I'd have to really, think about it again because I really liked, you got obviously Loki, you had Hawkeye, but I really, really loved Moon Knight. I thought it was great. I loved how it was kind of the standalone thing. I liked how it kind of navigated some different stuff. I'm really hoping for some Midnight Suns action. Let's see if that happens, But let's take a look at this figure. That's why you're here. And I could just tell you straight out of the gate that this head sculpt looks phenomenal, and I think they're going to be using a lot of this Oscar Isaac head sculpt. I personally think that we're also going to be getting a Poe Dameron next year. I really, really do, but we'll see. But if you kind of look at this Mr. Knight figure, we're going to go through these pictures, and I want to start this one off with the head sculpt just so you can see it. You can kind of see how good those gloves look, man. Those batons, the new defined suit here. I believe this is a new tailored suit with a new design. Just looks really, really clean, really, really good. Let's take a look at some other images here. And the thing I'm just telling you right now that I really, really like about this Mr. Knight figure is you have a lot of options. So if you're somebody who, if you're somebody that picked up the Moon Knight figure that is out right now and you're feeling a little frustrated, and we're going to get to this more when we get to the Artisan Edition, but maybe you're somebody that picked up the So Toys Mr. Knight figure. There are still options here for you. Maybe you're somebody that just wants that head sculpt. Maybe you already have the Moon Knight and you pick up this Mr. Knight and you want to present them like this. Now you can put that Oscar Isaac head sculpt on that Moon Knight figure if that's something you want to do. So again, a lot of different options here for collectors, in my opinion. But this figure looks great, man. I really love. I know this sounds kind of this might not mean a whole lot to any of y'all, but hopefully y'all can see where I'm coming from on this. I love this gap here between the glove and the arm. A lot of times when these sleeves don't reach the the wrist peg, you can kind of see that exposed wrist peg. I love how they've covered that up with the length of this glove, at least in this photo they have, and I love how that is being displayed. I really, really do. And I just think that looks great, and it looks natural. It looks realistic. Again, we love this masked head with the LED light up eyes. We'll get to everything that this figure is going to come with here in a little bit. Again, your standard crotch grabber here. Again, you got these batons just looking really good, both with the sculpt and without. Let me know in the comments below if you plan to present the Mr. Knight with either this sculpt or with the Oscar Isaac head sculpt. I think both options are great options for you. And you can see right here, man, I just think that the body looks great. Again, I keep stressing about this part right here. I just love the way this looks, and it just looks really clean. The newly defined suit here, and just the new material, new pattern. I mean, I don't know if it's new material or new patterns, but it's something that I haven't had before. I have a few figures that have tailored suits, and Hot Toys usually does a really good job with tailored suits, at least for the figures that I have. So this looks really good. I'm just loving how those LED lights really pop out. And this right here is probably my favorite picture so far. You can kind of see just like how good this mask looks, the tilted head sculpt here, kind of see how it all the way goes down to the neck, which I really love, into this great tie. And again, man, I can't stress enough. I really think, oddly enough, this is one of my favorite things they did right here was this gap here between the sleeve and the glove. I absolutely love that. I think that looks so good. Looks just like the show. And yeah, man, this is just so cool that we're getting this type of treatment for this character when all hope seemed to be lost, because it's not like Moon Knight had just came out. Like all of a sudden we're getting some Moon Knight love, which is a great sign. I think if you're somebody that's been waiting on some Moon Knight news and coverage, this makes me think that there is going to be more Moon Knight in our future. Hopefully in our near future with maybe some Midnight Suns or maybe a new, a season 2, or maybe even he's going to be appearing in some of the movies. But again, to be able to get this with that new Oscar Isaac sculpt, which that likeness has been hard to navigate. It seems like Oscar Isaac's likeness and image have been kind of hard to navigate, and it seems like they have gotten it. And that's why I think really that with the Force Awakens 10th anniversary coming up next year, that I could totally see, or maybe it was this year, I can't remember, but whatever that is, having that would make a lot of sense, in my opinion, to be using that sculpt. But again, you can kind of see, get the articulation here. It looks like the pants are baggy enough, which makes sense for this character, to have it a little bit loose right here so you can get some articulation in those legs. And you kind of see this as well with the chair. Are we getting this chair? Hot Toys normally doesn't just put stuff out there unless you're going to get it, but especially with that couch from Lady Pool and Kid Pool. That came with the Kid Pool. Will this chair come with Mr. Knight? We'll see at the end if it's featured in the that final image that we always get, where it tells you everything you get with it. But just him sitting down looks really cool and imposing, and I love it. I love the hand sculpts that go with the tilted head. It just really shows off that character and that version of this character. But we got to get back to this Oscar Isaac sculpt, man. We got to get back to this Oscar Isaac sculpt, because they have absolutely crushed it once again with this prototype sculpt. This prototype sculpt to me is fantastic. I think it looks great. I think the sculpted hair looks phenomenal. Look, man, we got to give credit where credit's due. I had some issues with some of the Winter Soldier, Steve Rogers head sculpt that just came out with. I thought it was still pretty strong, but I had some issues with it. But when they do a job like this, and again, we can only go based off this with the prototype image. Like I've said in every one of my videos, we're gonna have to wait and see how this actually turns out. But just from a prototype standpoint, I really feel like they nailed this. And the thing that I think they did the best job with, and again, maybe I'm just and I know I say this in every video, but these eyes, man, really tell the story. I feel like when you get the eyes right, everything else kind of falls into place. So like these eyes, there's just depth there. There's a performance here, as I say every week. They're doing a great job with these lines right here, these lines in between the eyebrows. And I just think that they did a great job with this almost like 5 o'clock shadow on the beard. I just think it looks absolutely phenomenal. I really do. So kudos to Hot Toys for giving us this quality of a sculpt. And man, this looks good. This looks really good. I just think that they've captured what, this face with Oscar Isaac. I mean, Oscar Isaac, is a very expressive actor, a very good actor. And this is just really cool to be getting this version of the character. And you can see this accessory that we'll talk about here in a little bit. But man, I'm hyped for this. I'm really hyped for this. I think Mr. Knight looks great. I think this is a great character for you if you're a fan of the comics, if you're a fan of like Midnight Suns, if you're a fan of the show, of course, if you're a fan of Oscar Isaac and you've been waiting for like an official Oscar Isaac head sculpt from Hot Toys. I think that this is huge. And again, I keep going back to this, how amazing this looks right here. I just think it absolutely looks great here on the wrist, and the gloves look amazing. The one thing that makes me nervous is how this could get dirty over time if you're like doing a lot of posing with it. I've been kind of moving towards in some of my reviews, which I'll link in the description below if you want to see some of my reviews for Hot Toys and InArt and stuff like that. But I've started using some gloves for that reason, just to maybe not get as much oil and stuff on these suits. Again, am I maybe overdoing it? Maybe. But with this one, I would be very careful and just keep an eye on that. So that's one little concern I have, but that's just the nature of it when you have a character that has this much white in his suit and everything. So again, here's probably my favorite image so far. I love this fixing the tie here. I think that's a great image right there. I think it looks amazing. And you can kind of see here with the newly tailored pattern suit, like we talked about, it just looks cool, man. I mean, that's just the best way I can say it. I love how this jacket kind of closes the buttons right here. I'm sure that will unbutton and you can have this open and free, I would think, but maybe not. I haven't seen a picture of it so far, but I would think that those would be able to unbutton and you'd be able to have this full open look. But if not, that still looks really good. Again, these shoes, I mean, really pretty accurate in my opinion. And the highlight of it here is obviously this head sculpt. I mean, I really think that this head sculpt is the highlight of it. But here's the great news, man. If you don't need this head sculpt and you just want the Mr. Knight with the other thing, you could probably part this out and even sell this, because I feel like a lot of people that maybe have a Mr. Knight, already have that original Moon Knight, might want to just have this sculpt to go with it. So that would be an option for you if you're someone who's like, hey man, I really just want Mr. Knight to look like this over here on our image to the left here with the mask sculpt. which it's gonna be tough not to present it like that. I mean, it does look great. I'm definitely going to be tempted to use the head sculpt. I'm normally just a head sculpt person. Like I want to always have the head sculpt if it's this good. But you kind of see what we get right here. We get the LED light up function. We get the newly tailored pattern suit. We get this different head sculpt. We get this Oscar Isaac head sculpt with the rolling eyeballs, and we get multiple hands here. We get this standard hexagonal base, and we get this like scarab, this kind of scarab, whatever that's called in the show, but basically that accessory, which is really cool as well. But again, man, this is what I like to see from Hot Toys. Limited accessories. This is just my opinion and my preference. Limited accessories, more of your money going into an incredible sculpt like this, an LED light up function in this head sculpt, this mass head sculpt, and great tailoring. I want the money to be shown on what's actually going to be displayed as opposed to a bunch of accessories. Now, don't get me wrong, a bunch of accessories is really cool, and when done right, it's amazing. And when a deluxe base is done right, it's amazing. But for me, with a lot of these different characters and with a lot of characters that we want to collect, I just love to see this, especially if it keeps the price point down below that 300 mark. Again, we'll see what the price point is. And I'll update that in the pinned comment below if I find this out by the time this video was actually uploaded. And so yeah, that's what we have with Mr. Knight. Now we're going to switch gears over to I believe that was the entire. Let me just make sure I got to every picture. I feel like I left out a few of the Oscar Isaac ones. And I did. So real quick, I know that was the kind of wrap up, but I just want to share these two just in case you haven't seen these. So again, you can kind of see more of these with him with the batons here. I also want to kind of share this one because I think this one looks really strong with this open hand sculpt. My bad. These were a little bit out of order. So I wanted to just show those off to make sure that we got to those if we hadn't looked at those yet. But now we're going to be taking a look at the star of the show, which is a Hot Toys exclusive, limited to 2,500 piece Artisan Edition Moon Knight. And we're going to take a look at it right now. And I don't know what it is. I know it's the same sculpt, but this artisan hair looks absolutely brilliant. In fact, in my opinion, I feel like they're going to have an easier time with artisan hair like this as opposed to maybe some of the longer hair. Again, that Anakin that we're still waiting to see. Let's see how that turns out. Some of the pictures I've seen at some of these events of that hair sculpt or that artisan hair hasn't looked great, but the Joker, the one that we actually have in hand, whether it be the Artisan Imposter Joker or the Artisan Dark Knight Joker, both look fantastic with the hair. So again, so far so good for actual releases for Hot Toys Artisan. So I'm more excited for this version of the character because I don't have that original Moon Knight figure. If you're somebody that does have that Moon Knight figure and you're feeling a little frustrated, I understand. You're probably thinking like, hey, let's get this Moon Knight. But I know a lot of people don't really want to have that presented with the head sculpt anyway. So you're probably really happy with that Moon Knight figure. But I will say, if you're someone that's picking up the Mr. Knight, that's a great option for you because you could take that Mr. Knight sculpt if you really wanted to have it with that other Moon Knight figure you have. And hopefully, again, I don't know this for a fact, but hopefully they'll be able to fit on that one. But we'll see. I'm not sure about that. But just a thought. I would think that would be nice of Hot Toys to do that. But again, they want you to buy a lot of figures. And, here we are with a limited 2,500 Hot Toys exclusive. But this looks phenomenal, man. This head sculpt right here looks absolutely phenomenal. I am in love with this suit. I love the character design. I loved this performance. I really love this show. I thought they did a great job with the show. I really wish we could get an Ethan Hawke figure from this. I know we're probably not, but I just thought Ethan Hawke crushed it in this role in Moon Knight as well. But this just looks so incredible. I mean, this truly looks so incredible. I think that for me, a limited to 2,500 piece Artisan Edition of Moon Knight, for me, this is just for me, is potentially like just a future type of Grail type figure. I mean, again, because it's a character that like it really did seem like all hope was lost with like, okay, I guess we're not going to get that Oscar Isaac sculpt. Now we're getting an Artisan Edition. Now we're getting limited. Normally, I'm somebody who likes for the limited stuff to be for, a different type of trooper, a different color scheme on a suit. So this one, even though there is a Moon Knight without the head sculpt out there, this one is tough. I'm excited now, man. But if I miss out on this, like I'm going to be really bummed out. So my tune will change a little bit. So, But I do like the limited 2,500. I actually think that that's probably a good number there. I was hoping for 3,000 to make it a little easier for us to be picking this up. 2,500 makes me a little nervous. I think this is going to go pretty quick personally. But again, that's just speculation. That's just speculation on my part. But let's talk about how good it looks, man. Look at this. The cape looks amazing. The suit is just so great, man. The engineering and design on this suit is so good. You kind of see here, this cape just looks phenomenal, man. This flowing cape, wired cape here. Just everything about this figure just seems premium to me. And again, you are going to be paying these artisan prices for what it looks like to be this artisan sculpt with just wool hair implantation. So if you don't care about that stuff, man, that Mr. Knight figure is really good. Or that older Moon Knight figure, if you didn't want to even have the head sculpt, that Moon Knight figure now will probably be a little cheaper with this one coming out. But then again, unsure because of that 2,500. That's what's so interesting about this is now that it's 2,500, there's gonna be a lot of people that probably miss out on this. And so now we're going to have a thing where does that other Moon Knight figure come down in price? I think in the short term, it actually might for a little bit. But as soon as this one kind of goes up for sale, I definitely could see this one, you know, that other Moon Knight figure still holding its value, just because a lot of people aren't going to want to go the artisan route. They're not going to want to pay for that if they don't have to. They'd rather just get the Moon Knight. But for me, the head sculpt for me is like the heart and soul of the figure. That's just my opinion. That's like what I like. And so this is really tough to like say no to, especially since I don't already have the other Moon Knight figure. So I'd rather just get this one as opposed to going and paying, you know, $300 to $400 on that Moon Knight that's already available. So again, we're looking at, and again, I will link this in the description, or I won't link it, but I'll put the prices in the description below on the pinned comment. I'm assuming this is going to be around $465, as some of these other artisans have been. The Loki being the one that I'm kind of referring to in price, that God Loki figure. But dude, this looks incredible, man. Just the posability here, this cape looks phenomenal. Just the color scheme, just the suit looks great. I just think this is just for me, man. This just looks to be one of the figures that we're going to be talking about when this comes out as like one of the figures of the year, dude. I mean, again, it's hard to say that now when we're not even to that year yet. And this probably won't even come out till 2026. And who knows what we're going to get till then. But just as what's been announced so far, if we're talking about like, you know, how hype we are for certain announcements. I mean, this, dude, especially if you don't have the Moon Knight already. If you don't have the Moon Knight, this has got to be just one you're really wanting. If you're somebody who's been waiting like me, I was kind of patient. I missed out on that first Moon Knight. Kind of been patient, hoping for this. And it's here, dude, and it looks incredible, man. It really looks incredible. I really can't say too much negatively about this. My hype level for this announcement is a 10 out of 10. For the Mr. Knight, it's probably like a 8.5 out of 10. And the only reason that's not higher is because we got this the same day. Now, if we would have just got the Mr. Knight, that would have been higher. But it's like, damn, dude, like this is the one I'm really focused on. And by the end of the video, I'll let you know if I plan on picking up both. But this just looks so good to me, man. Let me know what y'all think in the comments below. But look at the posability. Everything that you loved about that first Moon Knight figure, it looks like they've just pretty much gave you the same thing here. Again, you're just really paying for that. There might be some new stuff here with the suit. There might be some new technology they're using. Who knows? But obviously with any artisan release, for the most part, you're paying for that wool hair implementation. So your mileage is going to vary on that, man. If you're somebody that's not interested in that, this is going to be an easy pass for you. You don't even have to stress about the lottery for the 2,500. If you're somebody that really wants it, it's going to be, you know, I think this will be a little bit of a tough one to pick up. I mean, I know it's not a character like Spider-Man, Anakin, all that stuff, but I do think that with this being the first Oscar Isaac head sculpt we've gotten, and plus I think Moon Knight was really well received, I definitely see this one being a popular pickup for a lot of people. So that's just my opinion, and that's just speculation. But man, I love this. I think it looks great. The posability looks really strong. I think the suit looks great with Oscar Isaac sculpt. And again, we're just going to take a look at a few more of these pictures. The cape just being the highlight here. The LED light up function in the eyes look incredible. And yeah, dude, I mean, like I said, man, it's going to be tough. I think the reason that they probably released it like this is in hopes that you would get both, because they're knowing that people, you know, collectors like us are like, man, do I present them with the head sculpt or without the head sculpt? Well, the best solution is to get this and the Mr. Knight, because now you're getting that head sculpt with the Mr. Knight that you could just have as your Oscar Isaac head sculpt version. But then again, you're thinking, if you're buying this, you're buying it for the sculpt. So are there going to be people that take this sculpt and put it on that Mr. Knight figure? I mean, there's a lot of different options for you. I'm not sure if it's a great option for you. Maybe you're a little frustrated with this release because you have that Moon Knight figure and you really loved it. Now you feel like, man, I need the sculpt now. But I think that's cool because the Mr. Knight is available to you. But again, it just looks amazing. It just looks amazing. That's just the bottom line. That's just my opinion, but I think it looks great. I think they absolutely nailed this head sculpt of Oscar Isaac. I think this is a 10 out of 10 promo sculpt. I really, really do. I've looked at this over and over, trying to find some cracks in the armor. And I'm sure there's something. Once I look at it a little bit more, this could dip to like a 9.5, but it won't go any lower than that because I just think they absolutely crushed the sculpt. I think the hair, the wool hair, looks really great here on the hairline. I love this curl right here in the front. I think they did a great job with the cheek and the jawline here. Just looks incredible. And I know I'm just sounding redundant at this point, but what else is there to say? I mean, you're seeing the same pictures I'm seeing. You've kind of already made up your mind if this is something that you're going to get or if this is something you're going to pass on. And man, it's just looking good. And I just love this. The Moon Knight character itself is badass, but the costume with this head sculpt, having the different options here, man, it's just this is an awesome announcement. I love how they announced these at the same time. And even though they're two different figures, one's Mr. Knight, one's this Moon Knight, there is still a Moon Knight figure available if you don't care about the head sculpt. So there is plenty of options here for you. It's not like this is the only Moon Knight you can get, which is also a good sign. And you can see these really cool accessories here. I just think they knocked out of the park with these announcements. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And we're going to take a look at this just one more time. Again, you got the artisan hair, wool hair implementation here. You have the rolling eyeball function. And then you have these, the different hands and the different accessories with that hexagonal base. So again, this could be one that is an easy pass for people just because the price point's going to be high. So it really depends on how into this character you are and how into this head sculpt you are with if you're going to go this route. For me, I can just tell you honestly, like I'm picking up both of these. I'm going to try. I mean, I'm definitely 100% going to be going for this artisan edition. I also am going to be going for that Moon Knight or that Mr. Knight, excuse me. And I want both of them because I could see myself doing what I said. Hopefully these interchange pretty well where you can put this head sculpt on the Mr. Knight figure. That would be something that I would really look into, is to have Moon Knight presented with the mask sculpt and then have Mr. Knight with this artisan sculpt. So I'm hoping they're really interchangeable. They're easy to interchange. But again, we'll see if I'm able to pick this up at retail in the 2,500, limited to 2,500. I'm sure Sideshow will give us information on that. Again, I'll put the prices in the description below once I find those out, and the pinned comment. Let me know what you think of this. Let me know if you're picking it up. Let me know what your hype level is. My hype level for the Artisan is 10 out of 10. My hype level for the Mr. Knight is probably like an 8.5 out of 10, only because, man, when you get both announced at the same time, that's obviously going to take a little bit away from that Mr. Knight figure. But I think both are just incredible announcements, and both are versions of the character I want and two different looks for the character I really want. So this is going to be a really exciting pickup for me, and I want to know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank y'all so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up button on the way out. Check out some of my other videos and consider subscribing if you like this type of content. I think if you like this, you're going to like it around here. And thank you so much for watching it. As always, as we always say on this channel, I'll see you next time.